News of the Putin-Trump meeting comes in the context of US threats to impose additional sanctions on Russia as frustration in Washington grows at the lack of progress in ending the over 3-year conflict. Trump on Wednesday asked if Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky had agreed to the summit.
There's a very good prospect that they will, and we haven't determined where, but we had some very good talks with President Putin today. And there's a very good chance that we could be ending the round, ending the end of that road. That road was long and continues to be long, but there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
President Putin has since also weighed in, saying the United Arab Emirates would be an appropriate venue for such a meeting after meeting with the country's President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Moscow.
Both sides showed their interest. Which side was first to say whatever word, it does not matter. We have a lot of friends that are ready to help us organize such an event. Here is one of our friends, the President of the United Arab Emirates. I think we will decide later, but this could be one of the suitable venues. I have been repeatedly saying that I, in general, have nothing against it. This is possible, but before that, certain conditions should be created. And unfortunately, we are still far from creating such conditions.
President Trump had threatened additional sanctions on Russia by Friday if it didn't make moves towards ending the war, while also warning of secondary sanctions on countries that buy Russian exports, evidenced by a decision to raise tariffs on India to 50% over its imports of Russian oil.
Putin really, I think, has decided he wants a long war, right? And time plays on the inside. And I think this suggestion of this air corridor, whatever you want to call it, he's buying time, right? He wants to avoid anything that would see more sanctions levied on him. You know, I mean, they're a little bit nervous about the tariffs on the India tariffs, right? The 100% situation, but they don't really think Trump will actually do it. But they think by throwing a little bone to Trump, Witkoff's there, letting Witkoff come back with something, it'll buy them a bit more time to continue to wage war, because they think the longer they leave it, the longer they continue the fight, ultimately Ukraine will buckle, the Western alliance will weaken, appetite to continue support Ukraine will kind of moderate, and in the end Putin will get everything he wants, which is the whole of Ukraine. That is the reality.
Ukraine's leader says that while Russia appeared more inclined towards a ceasefire, the details would be significant.
While
traveling from our brigades here in Sumy region, I spoke with President Trump. Conversation following the visit to Moscow by President Trump's representative, Steve Witkoff. The position with our partners is absolutely clear and transparent. The war must end. Honestly, it is very important that it be resolved honestly. Europeans were also on the call. To each of them for their support. We discussed what was said in Moscow. It appears that Russia is now more inclined to consider a ceasefire. The pressure on them is working. But the main thing is to make sure they don't deceive anyone in the details, neither us nor the United States.
A Trump-Putin face-to-face would be the first between a sitting US and Russian president since Joe Biden met Putin in Geneva in June 2021, some 8 months before Russia launched the largest attack on a European nation since World War II. The diplomatic maneuvers come at a time when the United States was expected to ramp up economic pressure on Russia, including through secondary sanctions, as evidenced with the punitive tariffs announced on India, and similar threats to impose an additional 25% duty on Chinese exports to the United States, with Beijing currently the biggest importer of Russian oil. Both countries have rejected the effort as unfair and unreasonable, while vowing to protect their energy security and economic sovereignty. All this as the US-based Center for Strategic and International Studies estimates the total casualties from the Russia-Ukraine war at around 1.5 million, including as many as 350,000 deaths. Sherwin Ricepies, SABC News, New York.